And welcome in live to the Ice Pick Sports Podcast, episode number 29. And it's just me and Martin today. So let me start out. Martin, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. How about you?
I'm doing great. Coming off a great weekend of sports. The NFL playoffs conference championship games went underway this weekend, as long with some good NBA action, some good NHL action, and college basketball as well. You ready to get started? Let's talk about these. Let's start with the AFC Championship game. And what a performance put up by Patrick Mahomes and that Bills offense, including Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Um, I want to get your initial thoughts on this game, and were you surprised at all about the outcome? And really, not a close game at all throughout the whole game. And really, the 14-point win that the Chiefs had seems a little bit closer than what it really was.
Right. I thought it was incredible that the Bills went up on a 9-0 run to start the game and then ended it on a 9-0 run too. So yeah, that's why it was a little bit closer than it should have been. But like, the thing is like, I thought there was no doubt in my mind that the Chiefs were unstoppable, and they showed it this game. But I know their defense, like the Kansas City defense, is supposed to be like great against the pass and did whatever, and they held their own against the Bills, and I did not expect that. Like I thought this was going to be a blowout, or at least be punch for punch, exciting AFC Championship game. But ultimately, like we finally saw the Kansas City offense just flip the switch like we always did. Always said they could or they should and they just proved they're unstoppable. And now they're Patrick Mahomes and them are off to another Super Bowl. So
Yep. And Andrew, you were wrong. I told you the Chiefs would win. Patrick Mahomes is incredible. And when you give him a great head coach in Andy Reid, you give him the best tight end in the game in Travis Kelce and has been for some time now. And you also give him the fastest man to probably, play football. And so he is unstoppable. Tyreek Hill, when he has the ball in his hands, I think the most incredible thing about him is, a lot of guys are either have the top end speed and they don't have great acceleration, or they have great acceleration but they don't have great speed. But Tyreek Hill, man, his acceleration and his speed, top speed, it's incredible to watch. First of all, you can give him the ball in multiple ways, which the Chiefs do. They do a great job at it. And it's almost like, what do you even do? You can't really do anything to stop the Chiefs, it seems like.
the thing is, it's like whenever you see a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill who's super fast, like you think he's just gonna have like no hands, kind of like John Ross. Like he was supposed to be like the fastest guy on the field, and ultimately he just had trouble like catching the ball, in big moments. But like the thing is like with Tyreek Hill, whenever he's on the field, it's just like it always feels like the cornerbacks are so scared to cover him. Like they're always like at least 5 yards behind him because they know like they're gonna get beat deep if they press, they play press
Yeah.
coverage on him, and he's unstoppable. He's unguardable.
The crazy thing is that the cornerbacks will line 10 yards off the ball, off the line of scrimmage, and they'll still get beat on like a post or a go route. So he just has elite track speed to go along with great route running. His release off the line of scrimmage, if he is getting pressed, is one of the best in the league to go along with his speed and his catching ability. He's not the best, but he is a great receiver, and he's one of the best receivers in the game, and he's one of the most fun to watch players I've seen in a long time. But then like I mentioned Travis Kelce before, probably the best zone breaker in all of sport, in all of football right now. The dude knows how to find the soft spots in the zone, and he knows how to sit down. And Patrick Mahomes and him are on, lock and key together. They know exactly where they want to go, and they execute at a very high rate. And it's like Kansas City doesn't even need to run the ball, but when they do, they're just doing it to make sure the defense will, at least have the thought in their head that they can maybe run.
Yeah.
But did you see that ESPN graphic before the game saying that the Bills had the better quarterback?
Yeah, that was stupid. I don't know who made that. Like,
And I think going into the game, You hate use overused memes, but like the Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. I
Right.
think a lot of people going into the game, going into that week, were talking Patrick. They weren't talking Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they're talking more Josh Allen. Josh Allen, Josh Allen is he put himself on Patrick Mahomes' level. Is Patrick Mahomes, or is Josh Allen as good as Patrick Mahomes? And you've started for 2 seasons and you've won the MVP in one, you've won the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP in the other. That's a little bit of a shot. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes is what they lost one game this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost one game
Yeah,
since
that
the
the
middle
two
of
don't
last year.
compare. There's no way you can compare the two right now. Like Patrick Mahomes is on a different level. I mean, not to like bash on Josh Allen, but I mean like he made great improvements and like it's fun to watch him play, but you can't. He's not on Patrick Mahomes level. No one is. So it's like
No.
maybe I can see what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to say like, oh, he's a young gun. Who's like led his team to the AFC Championship. But like I think like anyone would take 32 out of 32 teams would rather take Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I don't know why that graphic
Oh, yeah.
even chose Josh Allen as a advantage over Mahomes.
Absolutely. And what makes, and we'll talk about the NFC Championship game after this, but what makes this upcoming Super Bowl so special to me and so great and the storyline's abundant is that it's almost like a passing of the torch. Tom Brady to Patrick Mahomes, who is on par right now to be the best quarterback I mean, he is the best quarterback in the NFL, but with the trajectory that he's on, I'm not saying he's going to breach Brady levels, 6 Super Bowls, 7 possible Super Bowls,
Mm-hmm.
get there 10 times out of 19 years starting. But man, is Patrick Mahomes on the right trajectory to try and get to, Tom Brady's level? It's almost like LeBron, if he were to go against Jordan in his last final years and LeBron's first couple of years in like an NBA finals, it's kind of be like sort of the similar, trajectory almost.
Right. It's nice to see like that one era come to an end, but like another era like begin in the same time. Like like we saw Kobe. Rest in peace. Obviously this the 1 year anniversary of a tragic death, but we saw Kobe's career end, and then we saw LeBron. Start
Word.
his career too. It's just like it's nice to see that happen because like you never know when like if there's going to be like an era where like there anything is open, and it makes the sport fun when there's not like a Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, but at the same time when you look back on it, like these are the guys you want to watch for the rest of your life. Like you never want them to like retire. So yeah, it's fun. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl.
But yeah, before we head to the NFC Championship game, a couple more things I want to hit on. Congrats to the Buffalo Bills and their great year. Congrats to Josh Allen for really, firmly asserting himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL this year. Let's see if he can do it 2 years in a row, though. But the Bills team, they had issues on defense in the beginning of the year, and they fixed those problems by the end of the year, and it got them to the AFC Championship game. Their offense was awesome all year long. Shout out to Stephon Diggs for really coming into his own this year, asserting himself as one of the best receivers in the game. Stephon Diggs, it always seemed like he was under a shadow of Adam Thielen at Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not under his shadow, but he couldn't break out in Minnesota because he had Adam Thielen there. But
Right.
going to Buffalo allowed him to become the star wide receiver he was, destined to be this year and leading the league in receptions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also believe yards. But shout out to the Bills. But I also think the biggest storyline, obviously is going to be the Patrick Mahomes, in that Chiefs offense. But this Chiefs defense, now the second playoffs in a row has, stepped up and has really, they're the weak link on the team, right? But
Right.
really, they're no weak link at all. They're a great defense, and it starts up front with Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and it ends with Tyrann Mathieu in the back. And they have great leadership with Tyrann Mathieu, and that leads that defense. But they've really stepped it up, and Steve Spagnuolo has really been drawing up some good defenses, and that to me that is the key in the Super Bowl for that Chiefs defense to play well.
Right. Like the defense isn't flashy. Like they don't have like a Jalen Ramsey or like, someone like
Aaron Donald,
right.
T.J. Watt.
Even though I mean like Chris Jones, like
He's a great
not
player.
saying yeah, they're like I guess they're not underrated, but they're not like super flashy like the Rams defense, like their names don't pop up. But like I feel like a lot of it has to do with maybe it's like the defensive schemes they do, or like they just like great communication, whatever the reason is. I didn't think they could like shut down Stephon Diggs in the first half to like 9 yards, I think it was.
Mhm.
But they did. Like I didn't think Rashad Freeland could do that. I thought, because like Tyrann Matthew isn't going to be on him all day, and like that's like the biggest name like in their secondary. But yeah, like I'm with you. Like I didn't think this Kansas City defense was going to be able to stop the Bills, and they pull their own.
Well, still a fun game to watch, but the first game of Sunday was, I think, the best game of the day, and that ended with the Bucks winning 31-26, and with some questionable calls on the Green Bay side of things. The big, if you want to look at the big stat line, Tom Brady had 3 interceptions in the second half. After the Buccaneers were winning pretty comfortably, but the Packers only scored 6 points off those 3 interceptions. It kind of felt like Tom Brady though was destined, and the Buccaneers were destined to win this game. I don't know what it is about Tom Brady. If his leadership is obviously, you know, the best, quarterback leadership I guess you could say we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
When you've gone to 10 Super Bowls, over half the years that you've played, you've gone to the Super Bowl. That's incredible.
You're doing
And
something right.
you're right, and you're a leader, and you're a leader of men, and that's a great thing. But you know, it was this Green Bay's offense. It had been unstoppable pretty much the whole year, and you know that front seven. Green Bay, their left tackle Bakhtiari, he does go down. That's a big moment at the end of the year when he goes down. I think it might have been in week 16 or week 17, but it was apparent that front seven for that Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Shaq Barrett, JPP, they were getting after Aaron Rodgers, and it really affected the ability for the Packers to move the ball and to score when they got into the red zone.
Yeah, I think they had like either 4 or 5 sacks on Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, like when you're pressured like that, like it's hard to move the ball. So yeah, I that's why like the Bucks defense is really good, and I just think yeah the Packers offense has been unstoppable pretty much all season, but at the same time, like if if they've beaten the Packers in week 5, like 38-10, and now they beat them in the playoffs like this. I just think it's a matter of mismatches. I think the Bucks just had the better defense.
They know how to coach against LaFleur almost.
Right. It's just they had their number, so I think
Yeah,
that's what happened.
it's crazy. They're still trying to force feed
Devontae
Devontae
Adams
Adams, but
every time.
it you rather say we lost this game, but we tried, beating our best player the ball, than we lost this game and we barely tried to get the ball to Devontae Adams. But
Hmm.
man, they were literally every single crucial play. They were going to Devontae Adams, and like most people would be like, "Why aren't you go to Devontae Adams if you don't go to Devontae Adams on a crucial play?" But
Yeah.
it was almost obvious, and
It came
so
it came to the demise of like at one point. I think it was in the first half, like they were in the red zone and they went to Devontae Adams all 3 times, like while they were in first and goal or whatever. Like they went to him 3 times. Like you think like the defense isn't catching on to that. And then also like there was a play where Devontae Adams he got thrown the ball, he had the target, but I forgot Allison had the slant in and he was wide open, but Aaron Rodgers decided to go to Devontae Adams. Like, yes, you want to go to your best player, and that's like why you sign them. Why that's why you pay them the big bucks. But at the same time, like you gotta you gotta you gotta throw the wide like the guy that's wide open and get the points while you can. Like you
right.
gotta win.
But let's go ahead and talk about this. Actually, before we talk about going for it on fourth down and not doing that and opting to kick a field goal late in the game, that I think the big point in this game was letting them score a touchdown right before the end of the first half. You don't let them do that. You force that incompletion, and that game is not a 8-point game at the end of this, fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1-point game. A field goal puts you up by 2.
Right.
So maybe things could have definitely played out, obviously, but if you're gonna look at it like that, that's a big deal. Instead of being down by 8, you're down by 1, and this whole fourth, do you go it? Do you not? It's not there unless they lose the game, and that's on their defense. But that sets up the situation that you have late in the game where it's, fourth and goal, you're on like the 4 or 5 yard line, but you elect to kick the field goal in hopes that you get a stop, but obviously they didn't.
Yeah, that was a huge momentum changer, and like I respect that. Like I don't feel like a lot of coaches or teams really do that right now. Like they're all like analytical, like let's play it safe. Like we're still a lot of ball game left, but they they put their kicking team out there, took a timeout, and then the next play they went for the end zone, and it's a completely different ball game. Like it's kind of disrespectful, but it's so smart. Like they weren't ready. Like the Packers weren't ready for that, and like what a play to end the half. Even though like I mean I had a Packers minus 3.5 the first half. It was brutal. I mean it kind of like it was time was running out anyways, but like yeah, it was huge respects to the Buccaneers for
They
having the
showed
ball to do that.
they showed up to play,
Mm-hmm.
and the Packers were, they weren't. They weren't ready to play, especially on defense. Kevin King got burnt numerous times, and you know they'll have to figure it out. People were trying to speculate. Is Aaron Rodgers going to go? No, he's already said he's going to come back. He controls his own destiny. And when he said after the NFC Championship game, he said he's going to have to take some time and figure out futures. Blah blah blah. He was talking mainly about the guys on his team and not about himself. But
Mm-hmm.
so he's not going to be going anywhere.
Yeah, some people need to realize. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun to like speculate, like, oh, like where's Aaron Rodgers going to go if he doesn't stay? But like, one, the contract, I think he's staying until 2023, and two, it's like it's the NFL, it's not the NBA, where like, I mean, where one, it's not like a player driven league, and two, it's like it's a lot harder to like make a trade.
Right.
So
Yeah, it
whatever.
really is a lot harder to make a trade. Okay, let's go ahead and let's not, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it since we have 2 weeks to, kind of preview this game. Let's go ahead and get a quick little rundown of Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay, which is great because this will now be the first time a team has played in the Super Bowl in their home city, and they are the underdog for this game for good reason, and they're technically the away team. So Martin, my question to you is do you think that the people will shoot off the cannons when the Buccaneers score, even if they're the away team?
Wow. I think so. I mean, like
You,
like I'm sure like the people who are in charge of that are still getting paid by Tampa Bay. So like, why wouldn't they? It's gonna be a tough call. Like I don't know. Like it's weird. It's the first time it's ever happened. There's no expectations. So like I say, why not go for it? Like
right. And it's the first time it's ever happened, but it's also like what a place for it to happen at like Tampa Bay, where they have something at their stadium where they legitimately blow off a cannon every time they score a touchdown. But they've never, they've never played in their stadium as an away team, so I don't
mhm.
even know if they can do it. So I don't know. It'll be fun to watch. We start with the important things here when we're
Yeah.
previewing
Which
this game.
that's the one question everyone's been dying to know.
Exactly. Will they blow off the cannons or not? Um, but let's talk about, and this is kind of what I really only want to hit on for this game because we can just preview it in
Right.
next week or whatever. But does this Super Bowl mean more to Brady's legacy or to Mahomes? But I want to hear your answer first before I give mine.
So I think this kind of means more for Mahomes' legacy than it does for Brady. I mean, like I've I feel like I'm a little bit biased here because if Brady wins, he has 7 Super Bowl wins, which is more than any other franchise, including the Steelers franchise. So that kind of like, that kind of kills me. But two is just the real reason is because like Mahomes needs to get that second like Super Bowl win. Yeah, he's been phenomenal, but like it's still a young career. If you get your second Super Bowl win over Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers while they're at home, and like the first like time like they're like a Super Bowl team, is playing at home or whatever, like I think you deserve like a lot of credit. And plus like it gives them momentum to, keep going forward and keep going to Super Bowls and, potentially build a dynasty. I think this means more to Mahomes because like, yeah, like we already know like the talent's there, but we gotta make sure like the success is there, like, and he actually completes it like with, getting the rings and stuff, if that makes sense. So I think Mahomes' legacy is more on the line here than Brady.
Now, you can definitely make the argument for both. You could say this means more for Brady because this is his first Super Bowl try without Belichick. Was he really the reason they won all those Super Bowls in New England? Or was it Belichick and his, whatever he does, his mastermind that he does with the Patriots? But I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes simply because of that second thing you said, and that's, it's his second Super Bowl, but it's against the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
It's against Tom Brady. And not only is it against Tom Brady, but it's against Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. And this is the Super Bowl that everyone was picking before the year. Everyone wanted to see Chiefs, Tampa
Mm-hmm.
Bay, Chiefs, Tampa Bay, Chiefs, Tampa Bay. I mean, that was pretty much the main prediction before the year started because Tampa Bay is a loaded team too. Tampa Bay's roster, especially on offense, is stacked. I mean, you go through Godwin, Brown, Evans, Leonard Fournette, their starting running back. They're a stacked team. So there's a reason they are. I mean, I am not a big believer in Bruce Arians is a great coach. I think this team is being led by Tom Brady and that what they got on offense, but their defense is great too. Their front seven, Charlton Davis in the back end, Antoine Winfield Jr., they're great players. So this Tampa Bay team is great, and it only adds on to what it would mean more for that Mahomes legacy. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and so although winning his seventh Super Bowl, I mean, in his 10th try, I mean, winning 70% just to be able to say you've won 70% of Super Bowls just to get to that
Mm-hmm.
number, that percentage, it's incredible. So you can make the case for both, but I think when you have the chance in Mahomes' case to go against the GOAT in Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, especially since they were in Brady was with the Patriots for so long, obviously in the AFC, so you didn't really have this chance before. This is going to be maybe his only chance to go against him in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, especially because like I'm pretty sure career-wise they're 1-1. They're split. So like this is kind of the tiebreaker, like who's won more, if that means anything. But I think it's wonderful because like it. I feel like it's easier to remember who Brady has lost to, like twice against the Giants and then the Nick Foles Eagles. And if Patrick Mahomes pulls it off, like he gets added to the list. Like I honestly can't even like recite like all the teams Brady has beaten in the Super Bowl, but I can definitely tell you who he's lost to. So if Mahomes can add himself to that list, it's phenomenal. Like that should tell you just how special he is going to be, like in the following years in his career.
And I'm glad you brought up that their record against each other in the playoffs or in general, one conference championship game 2 years ago when the Patriots win off of a offsides call
Mm-hmm.
against on Frank Clark against the Chiefs.
Brutal.
Other than that, the Chiefs are probably going to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick Mahomes would be 2-0. But I think that breaking that making it a 2-1, that's a big deal. When you go back, in 40 years, when you're telling your kids, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and they're like, who was that? Who was better? Some people are going to point to that. Well, Patrick Mahomes was 2-1 against Tom Brady.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
it was him. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to get to a place where he will be able to have an argument that he had a better career than Tom Brady. But that
I sure
obviously
hope so.
remains to be seen. But I think that's a little bit of enough for that. And I'm gonna hit on the NHL real quick, and then you're gonna talk. Let's talk just a little bit of the MLB Hall of Fame process and
Yeah.
how that's fucked up. But
Before we move on to NHL, I have a hot take I've been kind of sitting on.
okay,
So, I was hoping we'd talk about it for the Green Bay game, but so I feel like there's been 3 like huge clock management blunders in this playoff in these playoffs with the Green Bay like kicking a field goal down 8 in the red zone, Cleveland punting to the Chiefs even though they had no Patrick Mahomes and they had momentum, and then Pittsburgh punting with the momentum. And so with these clock management like blunders, like it's frustrating, yeah, but like I was like kind of digging into like maybe why would this be? And my hot take is maybe because Madden is so boring and nobody wants to play it anymore that coaches and players don't play it, so they don't know how to manage the clock anymore. So if Madden was better and they weren't keep giving out the same game over and over and over, then maybe we would have a different playoff matchup in the Super Bowl or in conference championship. But I don't know. That's just the way I thought of it. Maybe like I'm probably completely wrong, but it's just like I just don't know why there's so many like clock management, mistakes this playoff.
you know what, Martin? I hate that fucking take. I
Thank
really
you.
do.
Thank
I
you.
really do.
I'm trying to piss
Because
people off.
for one, coaches have never played Madden. Unless
You never know.
Sean McVay does, because he's a little bit younger. But no, coaches have never played Madden. I can guarantee you, Mike Vrabel didn't play Madden. Doesn't play
Right.
Madden. Bill Belichick doesn't play Madden. We're talking some great cock management coaches here. They don't play
Right.
Madden.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
just think, nowadays, sometimes, with the Anthony Lynn case, it's a little, I think a head coaching job at that point in his career, in his life, was a little bit too big for his britches. And he was trying to control too many things. And that's, sometimes, or maybe it's an error that they don't have someone, being like, hey, clock, whatever, clock guy in his ear.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think some teams might have too many clock people telling them, hey, man, you should do X, Y, and Z. Actually, another guy be like, no, the analytics say X, Y, and Z does not do to compared to Q. And you know what I'm saying? But like,
Yeah,
I
analytics just kind of ruins it all.
I think analytics has gotten into the game. It is now a part of the game, like it is in baseball and basketball. It is now full-fledged part of the NFL. And I think, a lot of what those decisions are now coming down to is analytics. Like every time you see a team down by 15 or 16 and they score a touchdown to cut it to a one possession game, they go for two first, their first time, because you have a better chance of scoring statistically, supposedly, than you do the second time. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm not a big analytics guy.
No, I know, and I knew analytics was like a huge deal to like a huge part of like all this whole reasoning, but just like I don't know. I was trying to see like I was trying to get like another take or like just trying to think outside the box. Like maybe it's Madden's fault, but yeah, no, you're right. These coaches definitely don't play Madden, but I'm still gonna stick with my take. So move along.
You do that. You do that. All right. I'm going to talk some NHL. There hasn't been a whole. I mean, there obviously games are going on. Teams are on their third or fourth, series as of right now. COVID is starting to kind of It's gotten its way into the season already, but it's only happened in one division. That's in the Central Division, where you've had half the teams play, 6 games, and the other half have played like 3 or 4, because of the Hurricanes and the Lightning have had some COVID issues. And actually, as of right now, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, their coaching staff isn't coaching tonight. Their GM is going to be behind the bench because their coaching staff is getting contact traced, or whatever. So it's not just in the Central Division now. But I want to talk a couple of things. Patrick Laine and John Roslovic heading from Winnipeg to Columbus in exchange for Pierre-Luc Dubois. It was well known. Pierre-Luc Dubois didn't want to be in Columbus. Not many people do, but kind of a savage move to send him from Columbus to a place like Winnipeg, Canada, which is even worse than Columbus. So sorry to you if you're from Columbus. I'm kind of hating on your city. It's just let's just be real though. It's not one of the premier cities in the NHL. It's a great city, but great college football, but it's not like a destination city, so to speak. So they sent him to the least destination city out of any pro sport, um, city in America or North America, I should say, in Winnipeg, Canada, where there is legitimately nothing to do but be cold. And I think it could be a good trade for both teams. Pierre-Luc Dubois is an up and coming, first center in the league, but this year he has not been interested in playing at all. So it'll be interesting to see if he can just click his gears and then start being, close to a point of the game guy. John Roslovic is not a bad add-in to go in with Patrick Laine. Obviously, at this point in Laine's career, we know what he is. He's a top-line winger, top six winger that can put up 40 goals in a normal year. So he wasn't being used all the time as a first-line winger, which is the reason he wanted to be out of Winnipeg. So it'll be interesting to see. John Roslovic's a good depth forward to add in there too as well. But I think both teams could end up benefiting off of this trade. But if I had to choose a winner of this trade, it would be Columbus because Laine, we've already seen him. He's a 40 goal a year guy, and there's only 10, 15 people at most in the NHL that can do that. So yeah, I mean, hats off to the Blue Jackets for being able to get that kind of a trade for a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois, who was very adamant on getting out of Columbus. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about is these two teams, kind of surprise starts of the season, but these two teams who are leading their divisions are the only two teams left in the NHL without a loss in regulation, and that's the Washington Capitals and the Montreal Canadiens. And I think they're kind of surprises this season because Montreal, if they were picked to make the playoffs before the year in the Northern Division, they weren't picked necessarily to win or to even really be in the top two teams. I'll start with Montreal. Montreal is a team that surprised last year in the bubble playoffs by winning their play-in series. They were one of the last teams to get in. They really weren't that great in their regular season, but we knew after that bubble series they would be a pretty decent team. But we knew they would be good from the back end with Carey Price and Shea Weber, two of the best at their respective position. But what we didn't know before the year is if their offense would take a step forward, and it definitely has. Montreal is now leading the league in goals scored. Nick Suzuki has developed into a really good player. Josh Anderson and Tyler Toffoli have been really excellent additions to be a part of their forward group. And then obviously Brandon Gallagher is going to be a great player. He's had a good start to the year. And Jonathan Drouin, who's kind of a streaky player, but, I think he's a point-a-game guy to start so far the year. So they're scoring a lot of points. They're scoring a lot of goals, and that's not what people were expecting out of them this year at all whatsoever. So it's really a surprising deal there, and that's the reason why they are leading the Canadian division in, I believe, 4-0-2. And then the other team is the Washington Capitals, who are 3-0-3. So they haven't exactly won more than they have lost games so far this year. They're technically what you would call 500, but they have a 50% points, potential points, 75% potential points out of the points that they could have right now, which is great. And, when they're losing games, they're losing in overtime, which is the way you want to do it because you still collect a point in the standings, which is huge, obviously. And with the Capitals this year, it's kind of the opposite with Montreal. People knew that they would have a great offense. Obviously they have Ovechkin, but Nicholas Backstrom and Kuznetsov and, TJ Oshie. They had a great forward group. But what we didn't know is how their defense was going to hold up, and they really haven't been doing all that great this year. Their defense and goalie situation, it was kind of up in the air, and they're still allowing 3.5 goals a game, which isn't good at all. But they've been able to put the puck in the back of the net, and which is making them tied for third in the league in scoring goals. And obviously, scoring goals is the name of the game. But their defense is held up, decently enough to not lose in regulation, which is just, which is a good sign if you're a good team, is you're not losing in 60 minutes, and if you are going to lose, you're going to lose in overtime. Okay, Martin, we're going to hit on this last thing, and that's going to be the MLB. And the MLB came out today with their results on who made the Hall of Fame. Any guesses on who you think made the Hall of Fame for the MLB this year?
My guess is that nobody got in.
Well, you are obviously correct and studied up before this podcast because you are 1000% correct. Kurt Schilling was the closest one in the voting results at 71%. But it have you ever seen a league not elect anyone into their Hall of Fame? I really didn't even know that was a thing. I guess if there's going to be any league that does, it's going to be the MLB. But did you even know that that could be possible?
I like it was probably like in the back of my mind, but like I didn't know, like I didn't think that because like I mean like you like every year you expect like a different class and everything, and I think they have a rule with like you have to like have either like 70 or 75% of approval voting or something like that. Something stupid. It's something only baseball does, and that's why nobody got chosen. And on the ballot, yeah, so it was Kurt Schilling, Roger Clemens, and Barry Bonds who like were pretty much the top candidates to make it in, and obvious for obvious reasons. Them being with steroid use in the steroid era, they didn't get approved. They didn't get they didn't get in. So I think that's kind of I don't know. Like, what do you think about this?
I think it's absolutely asinine that you can't even, come to an agreement. I guess, 75%, 75% of the voters have to vote, certain guys in, which is, whatever. If you want to be different, be different. I just think it's a stupid rule. I think you should have a class. You're never not going to have a class in the NFL or the NBA or the NHL. It's really the MLB and the NFL Hall of Fames that get the most pub. But, yeah, I don't care if you don't like the group. I guess now this is the last. Next year is the last year for Barry Bonds, Kurt Schilling, and Roger Clemens, which is also a ridiculous rule. You shouldn't just like grow out of being able to be elected into the Hall of Fame for certain situations, just like this. If you don't like the new crop of players, let's say the NFL does it, the modern NFL players, and then they have the historical NFL players.
Yeah,
They do a certain amount of each, of each ones. If you don't have, the current players that, great ones to pick from, which is ridiculous because Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds especially deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
mm-hmm.
Um, if you don't have a great crop of those players, go back to the historical players and get the guys that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that didn't make the cut in their time due to be voted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't get why they like only have like a certain amount of years to make it the Hall of Fame. It's like it's not their one. It's not their fault. Like they can't control like the voting and anything like that. Two, they can't control like if there's a better class last year or like yeah whatever. There's like it's just so stupid. Like
It's
yeah sure
baseball.
yeah sure like they did steroids, but I mean it's kind of part of the game and it's kind of like
It
one of the
was
funnest eras of baseball too. So like,
it was 100% of a part of the game in the 90s and the early 2000s. Steroids was not the name of the game, but damn near close to it. And
and the thing is, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you're not gonna make Barry Bonds a Hall of Famer, all right, so be it. I don't care. But then you got to execute and like discredit his home run record. Like you got to go all the way or not at all. Because like if he's gonna be the home run record but not be a Hall of Famer, that it makes no sense. Like I hate baseball because of this, and I really hope baseball just dies as a sport because like they've done nothing. They've done nothing to like grow the sport at all.
now
Like
that's
they're
a hot
doing
take.
everything in their power to like make sure only like old people like watch the sport. Like it's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's a lot of people that think football is going to die out because of the violence of it, and that maybe baseball picks up some people from that. But
Right.
you know, I kind of agree that baseball is might be 30, 40 years, kind of like what the NHL is today, and I'm not saying the NHL is going to be bigger than the MLB because realistically, it's probably never going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying it could just be really the NFL and the NBA in like 30 years because the MLB had all of their old followers and fans die out.
Yeah,
Um,
literally.
what's
No,
crazy is people think that's what's going to happen. That would happen to golf, but I think golf is might put itself as the second sport
the
in
thing is,
America.
it's like golf is at least more amusing to like the young audience than anything else. Like in baseball, like it's not fun because when you get players like Fernando Tatis Jr. who like hit a home run on 3-0 or whatever it was or grand slam, and then he gets condoned for that, it's not fun. And then when like they don't share videos online, when they don't like, there's just so many things that MLB is not doing. They no universal DH. Like, come on, like MLB is doing everything wrong right now, and it pisses me off because like
Bring back the steroids.
might as well at this point. I'm for it. But
Could you
yeah,
imagine if they brought back steroids? What Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge would do to the baseball?
bro,
Uh,
they'd break 100 home runs like in a 70 game season. Like they go off.
every team could take steroids, but the Yankees. Especially now because I don't know if you've seen what the Yankees have been doing in this offseason,
Uh-huh.
but it's fucking stupid. They should be illegal.
Wait, what they
Their
do?
roster, they traded for Corey Kluber
Oh, and then
and,
James
and
Toyman, the pitcher.
Jameson Talion
Yeah,
from my high
Pittsburgh.
school, the Woodlands High School, and they also got DJ LeMahieu to sign for a ridiculously stupid low price.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but Yankees are always going to be Yankees, so I hope they lose once again, and we can all laugh together. Other than
Yeah.
that, do you got anything else to say? Whether it's baseball, hockey, NBA, college basketball, football, you go through it. Anything last?
No, I've got nothing. I could stand here all day talking about how much I hate the MLB and what they're doing, but no one wants to listen to that because MLB doesn't get ratings. So
Right, the MLB sucks. No, I'm not gonna lie. I like playoff baseball, but they
it's
got to
fun
do
to
something.
watch.
They got to
It's
do
just
something.
they could do a lot better.
They got to do something to get kids like who are 13 years old who don't play baseball to watch. So I think that's the biggest. I think obviously that's the biggest struggle for the NBA and the NHL is trying to get younger fans to who don't play the sport to watch because a lot of times with the MLB now, I think growing forward is really just watched by people who played baseball like in middle school and high school and in college. And then hockey is definitely more of a sport that's watched by people who are grown up, around a bunch of hockey players, in the north or played hockey. So I think those are two big, it's a big hurdle to try to get over as a
Right.
sports league. But
Hey,
yeah,
who knows?
we got
Maybe Nickelodeon will have a MLB game this year.
for as long as you could talk shit about the MLB, I could talk shit about the NHL and how they are just the same way horrible at running their league. But once again, no one cares about that. So
Right.
let's go ahead and end this. We're going to talk more about the Super Bowl coming up. We got 3 more podcasts until then. So, we don't want to get all of it to today, especially because you don't know injuries, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we're going to talk more college basketball coming up soon. Jake and Andrew should be back for Thursday to talk about college basketball specifically, and Andrew should talk about some NBA. And Matt might be on Thursday as well. I don't know. Maybe we can see if we can get all 5 or 6 of us on. But I'll be looking forward to that, to seeing you and talking to you on Thursday, Martin.
All right. Later, Luke. Deuces.
Later, buddy.